Good morning. Good morning. This morning's newspaper is about how the person who became Pope, let's call him Bob from Chicago, or Pope Leo the 14th, became the Pope. It's a very well reported piece. There are four reporters. One is the kind of Rome bureau chief, and then three others. They have spoken to cardinals who are involved in the selection process, and it's incredibly detailed reporting. They've kind of really found out how the Pope became the Pope. There were three candidates who emerged on the Wednesday night as front runners. There was a leftist guy who'd worked for Pope Francis, but wasn't very outspoken. And then there was a right winger who had a lot of support from right wingers, but wasn't really going to win over the others. And then there was Bob, who has only been a cardinal for 2 years and was kind of seen as not really a front runner. He was a dark horse, quiet. But as he engaged in small group discussions with other cardinals, they saw that he really sort of was a considerate meeting leader. Like, he let everyone speak. He was considering various points of view, and they all warmed to him. Plus, he has an incredible resume. If you look at like what he's done, he's from both North America and South America. He's both a missionary guy, but also he's kind of got an experience running bits of the church. Like, you couldn't really have built a better resume to be Pope if you were trying to become the Pope. And of course, he also did not try to become the Pope. So he was being kind of not obviously politicking, just kind of showed up. And there's a really great quote. He asked another cardinal like how it all worked on the first day. So how's this work? I've never done this before. Which again is kind of your ideal Pope, really. Who knows if this was all sort of quietly planned on his part. Like, I'm going to show up as a dark horse. I'm going to be a moderate with a good CV, and I'm going to pretend I don't want the job. But my sense is that it's always possible that the man actually didn't necessarily want the job and was just sincerely engaging. I love the fact that people say, like, I really love the way he ran a meeting. Because if you think about other leaders on the world stage right now and the way they run meetings, they don't run meetings in a considerate way. They don't try to build consensus. They try to bully their way through in a very 1980s kind of fashion. Also this morning, there's news that the tariffs have been suspended for 90 days with China, which I suspect by now has caused my 401k to rocket in value to the point where it's almost back where it was 6 months ago. Again, that's totally preventable. If only Donald Trump knew how to run a meeting of global leaders, he probably would have never imposed the tariffs. And so you have this kind of picture emerging of a man who builds consensus. He also won over conservatives. There's a conservative cardinal quoted here who, he had been resistant to Pope Francis even. And he says that Pope Leo emerged as kind of not divisive, right? Which I think is important. If you're going to run things, you may not actually do what people want, but you're going to listen to them, and that's how it emerged. And this cardinal is quoted as saying he was watching Pope Leo kind of during the voting process, and he had his head in his hands, and he asked him if he'd like a candy, and he gave him a candy. Like, that's incredible reporting. You're talking about the highest level of the Catholic Church. You talk about a process that if you divulge details, you can be excommunicated. And they got that from a cardinal that gave the guy a candy. Like, it's beautifully done reporting. And honestly, like, obviously the Catholic Church is a holy institution, but I feel like the New York Times emerges as a holy institution for me this morning. It's just so great to read about the machinations of power from people who have just gone and gotten great quotes from cardinals. There's one guy that they quote a cardinal saying, once the voting got moving, I realized I wasn't going to be able to wear all the clothes I bought for 5 days. It was going to be over before that. And again, like, that's from a cardinal in the Catholic Church. Like, this is someone who's often considered to kind of say things in a very considered way. And the Times has just got a candid quote from him that illustrates what happened. Like, that's really good reporting, and it shows the value of institutions like the New York Times at a time when some are seeking to undermine our understanding of facts and what's true and what's historic. To have that level of historic detail captured by really able reporters is a holy thing. And I give thanks to God for it, and God bless the Pope and all who sail in him. I'm Matt Davis. Thanks for letting me read the newspaper this morning so that you don't have to. I hope you do check your 401k in a minute and see that, well, by this afternoon, it will have rocketed back up. I'll be here tomorrow. Thanks very much. Have a great day.